Antonio Pierce showing that he has what it takes to be the Raiders coach beyond this season.
Hey, there's your brother.
I think there's no way. Yeah, thanks. I think there's no way. That's Jack Jones, by the way, with the interception. You know, let me say something, and I think we've mentioned this a few times.
Yeah.
Remember when they were so obsessed with calling taunting in all forms? Because the idea is we don't want hard feelings to start because then they'll finish later. When somebody's not looking, they're going to get hit hard, or it's just going to be an opportunity where there otherwise wouldn't be any contact. It's a perfectly legal spot for someone to hit someone else, and someone's going to hit someone else as hard as they can because they're mad about that thing that happened earlier in the game. They don't throw the flags anymore for the taunting that used to be flagged all the time. Remember there was that game, it was the Bears game, and the guy did that like roundhouse kick and looked at the sideline and they flagged him for taunting. I can't remember who that was, but remember that was a Bears-Steelers game?
Yeah.
And they were so overly sensitive about it, and now they never call it. I guarantee you, next year, as we gather to get ready for the season, one of the points of emphasis is going to be taunting. And point of emphasis is a fancy way of saying the officials aren't doing the job the way we want them to do, so we have to make it a point of emphasis so they'll do what we want them to do. Because I guarantee you, the league office hasn't changed its opinion on taunting. They don't want hard feelings to fester and get guys hurt later. This is all a broader part of the health and safety initiative. If you keep guys from getting personally pissed off and vindictive, you avoid that stuff later. Not that Patrick Mahomes is going to take a shot at Jack Jones later, but just that whole idea of stuff that we used to see flagged all the time. And I'm not saying it should be. I'm just saying there's quite possibly a disconnect between what the league wants and what the officials are doing.
Well, I mean, it's the only guy that seems to be like under the league rules in that department still is Tyreek Hill. It's the Tyreek Hill rule. Right? And it became annoying to everybody because he was so good and scoring touchdowns all the time. People thought it was a little too in your face. Right? But, yeah, it seems like if you just do it once in a while and you're not Tyreek Hill, nobody gives a damn. It is a little weird. You know, I don't have a problem with it. I'm with you in the fact that I wish, hey, you go in to score a touchdown, you can do whatever the hell you want. Come on, get over it. Right? That I'm okay with. You know, I don't like, again, when it filters into like, oh, I made a tackle on 3rd and 4, and now I'm going to stand over you and show you that I'm the man because you got a first down.
Thank you.
But we're still going to –
Thank you for your choice of words there.
Yeah, I avoided it. But, I mean, what in the hell of Christmas is the Kansas City Chiefs doing? I mean, what in the hell are they doing? I mean, again, we've seen this. The big thing with the Chiefs, again, it goes back to the offense. They're a defensive football team. But you can't be not talented and not have a creative scheme on offense. And they have both, and that's hard. They're not talented at the skill positions. The receivers are nothing special, as we know. And then you add that onto an offense that the league is caught onto and is not as good as when Eric Bieniemy was dialing up plays. It's simpler. So you add those two things together, and that's hard to be a good offense. I don't give a damn who your quarterback is. And they're still not used to it, and they're not adjusting. And again, you know, I'm being funny here, but that was a game yesterday where they might have been able to kneel on the ball the whole game and still would have won, but they still think they're the Chiefs and the greatest show on turf. And there they were with their trickeration and aggressiveness. They screwed themselves and lost the game, and it just continues to be blunders from this Kansas City Chiefs offense and team altogether. I mean, this is inexcusable here.
I think right, but it's like if we keep doing it the way we used to do it, eventually it's just going to come back. I feel like that's their attitude.
I think you're right.
Let's just keep doing what we've always done, and eventually we're going to find the switch and flip it back.
Yeah, well, I think there is a little of that, but it's like, don't we have enough to know now that it's just not? It's not anything like it was the previous years. You play ugly football. In fact, the Chiefs are at their best when they play ugly football. That's kind of the way they are. Play through your defense. Mahomes will make a play here and there, right? But you know, again, there was a day yesterday where their defense was phenomenal. I mean, come on. We were reading stats on the board and on the screen in the second half where you're going, wait, the Raiders are winning and they haven't thrown the ball in 3 quarters? Like, what's going on here, right? And that's because the Chiefs messed it up. And, of course, their offense isn't good enough to really be consistently good. And that Raiders defense, as we've been telling people all year, is better than people realize. I know the Chiefs beat them the first time around, but even when they beat them the first time around, it wasn't within like surgical offense and you're going, oh, wow, it was Mahomes floating around and making plays. And that's good every now and then, but that's just not sustainable to think you're going to beat every team in football week in and week out with just Mahomes playing backyard football. And that's kind of what they're relegated to right now in Kansas City, and he's not playing his best either.
48 net passing yards for the Las Vegas
That's
Raiders
insane.
when you factor in the sacks. Unbelievable. 9 for 21, Aiden O'Connell was. 205 total yards for the Raiders, and they win 20-14. I feel like yesterday was the day that the Chiefs thought they were going to get the car into gear and get it ready for becoming the team that we're used to seeing. That yesterday was the occasion to do it. It's Christmas. It's the Raiders. The Raiders are just playing out the string, and it just misfired. But that explains the high end special plays that we used to see when things were always going well for the Chiefs. It feels weird when they try to do it when things aren't going well, and it fails. That thing they did down at the goal line that resulted in a touchdown failed. And then you follow it up with a pick six. That is not what we're used to seeing from the Chiefs. And you mentioned Bieniemy. And this came up a couple of weeks ago with Patrick Mahomes saying they miss Bieniemy because he's the guy who held everybody accountable. He's the guy who lit the fire. And you saw Mahomes yesterday trying to give it to the linemen a little bit. Are they trying to simulate what Bieniemy would be doing if he was there in the middle of all of this? And then there was the moment where Kelsey throws his helmet down and Big Red was trying to keep it away from him. It was just, there it is, boom, down it goes, and they weren't giving it back to him right away. And I don't know where whatever it is they're missing, where's it going to come from? They don't know, or they would have found it by now.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. No, there's some missing magic, and they're not being what I would say is probably realistic for what they are, or not buying into what they totally are right now as a football team, and they're still
Did you
wishing.
see that shoulder? Did you see?
Yeah, well, I
Did
think
you
he
see
did
that
it
shoulder
deliberately.
Big Red gave Kelsey?
Yeah. I think that's a little bit like, hey, man, wake up. Come on, don't be like that. It's like a loving shoulder, right? I think it's more of that. Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
but get some positive vibes.
Still, there's. Yeah, like, come on, snap out of it.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a snap out of it.
It is.
Sorry
exactly
to interrupt you,
that.
but it's just amazing to see it.
Yeah, it is, but that's the kind of relationship they have there. Look at him. He's like, come on, man, wake up. Wait, he's trying to get him going in a loving way. They're special there with how they all believe in each other and all that. They are. But, Mike, I mean, you heard me saying that stuff about Bieniemy before Mahomes said it. I've been saying it for 6-7 weeks. So just they're missing the enforcer, let alone his creativity. Again, you watch anything on NFL films on the Chiefs the last few years, yeah, it wasn't Mahomes having to do what you're talking about. If you go and look and see little clips of the side, it's Bieniemy. And he's in Mahomes' face and everybody else's face. It doesn't feel like there's that guy there right now. And, yeah, they need to adjust to what they are. The passing game and them throwing for 350 is just not going to happen on a consistent basis. To me, it's like play your defense, come up with more run plays, more creative runs, play through that more, and be content on we're going to be the Chiefs, play through our defense, and Mahomes will be clutching the end of the football game, and we're going to win 20-17. That's who you are this year. That's the way they need to play. But it's like they haven't come to terms with that yet, Mike, to your point. And they're still trying to wish into existence. We're still going to be that offense that threw for 50 touchdowns a few years ago here one of these days. It's just going to click. And it's like, no, it's too late. And I think that's part of why, a trick play backed up with going to give the ball to Mahomes and then he's going to throw the ball and do all of that. I think that just speaks to the desperation of where they are as a football team and how they're looking for anything to jumpstart them. And of course, that one came to bite them back in the butt in a big way.
Look, I don't remember this happening when things were going well, but the idea of running a play like that in the shadow of your own end zone, usually that's something they do when they're down around your 10, not around their 10.
Right.
You cap a drive with it. You don't kickstart a drive with it. How about this what if?
Yeah.
What if the Commanders clean house as soon as the season's over? And I've got a two-part what if to this. Part one, Eric Bieniemy available to anyone if that's what happens. Doesn't get a head coaching job again because we're used to that now. Do the Chiefs bring him back next year? That's part one. Part two, because there's a chance that Josh Harris just sends everyone packing as soon as the season's over and they start from scratch. If Bieniemy's available the day after the regular season ends, do you bring him back for the playoffs?
Oh.
If you're the Chiefs. If the Chiefs even get there, do you bring him back as a consultant for the rest of the postseason run, however long it might last?
I would. I mean, again, he's kind of like family there. And if he is free, they need any help they can get right now. Whether that's an attitude adjustment, a few ideas and wrinkles in their game plan. You know, I would be in favor of it. I would. Now, I know that might make like Matt Nagy, the offensive coordinator as of right now, feel uncomfortable a little bit. But, you know, this is the NFL. The proof's in the pudding. I mean, Jonathan Gannon's a pretty good defensive coach. I mean, the Eagles brought in Vic Fangio last year to help him out. And damn, Jonathan Gannon's a good defensive coach. So, you know, again, I'm more of the belief of like, you know, check your ego at the door. We need as many smart, tough football people in the building as possible. And if you're the Chiefs right now, I certainly would think about that if that did happen the way you kind of explained it, Mike.
Remember, that happened with Josh McDaniels at one point.
Yeah, that's right.
When he was released by the Rams.
That's
went
right.
back to be a consultant with the Patriots before landing there and staying there. So, from Bieniemy's perspective, he's trying to spread his wings elsewhere. He's trying to prove himself elsewhere. But there may be an opportunity here, depending upon what the Commanders do. Now, sometimes you fire the head coach and you keep the rest of the staff in place.
Yeah.
Because they have multi-year contracts and they're paying him well. And it's not like he can say, please let me go so I can go back to Kansas City. But if they say, we're just going to clean out everyone and let the new coach hire whoever he's going to hire from scratch. No one's holdover. If they do that and he's gone, if that's what they're missing, and if that's what Mahomes is telling Andy Reid we need back here, if we want to try to win another Super Bowl, and that's what Mahomes wants. He wants number 3 because you don't get number 7 unless you get to number 3 when you're stuck at number 2. He would want it, and those comments from a couple of weeks ago would suggest that that's something he'd be in favor of. Just going to be an interesting twist here to see what happens short term and longer term. If Bieniemy's available when the dust settles on the coaching carousel, do they bring him back? More immediately, do they bring him back as a consultant for the playoff run if he's available in 13 days? Because it will be spinning 13 days from now. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.